Hello, and I welcome you about the today's discussion on hydrology and irrigation engineering. I am Vishwanath Auti, and we will see the main discussion about today. We are mainly discussing about irrigation, and here we are discussing mainly about irrigation. And in the irrigation, we are discussing about definition. Then we are discussing necessity, and then we are discussing benefits, and finally we are discussing ill effects of irrigation. After that, we are discussing some of the important questions from previous year question papers. So then we will begin with the definition, right? So here we have to define what you mean by irrigation. So here if you see, the irrigation may be defined as a process of artificially supplying water to soil. The word is very important here. Here it is a process. It is a process of artificially supplying water to soil, right? Means we are supplying water naturally by rain, but when we are getting shortage of water, we have to supply with the artificial arrangement. So here it is a artificial arrangement, or you can call it as a process of artificially supplying of water to soil for rising crops, for rising crops. So it is called as irrigation. In technical terms, it is a science of planning and designing. It is also planning and designing, how we plan building. Similarly, irrigation is also science of planning and designing an efficient, very important, efficient, low cost, economic irrigation system. So if irrigation system is very expensive, then we cannot call it as a economic. So here it should be user friendly or farmers friendly, right? When we are taking any project of related to irrigation, that should be cost effective. So it is a mainly related to planning and designing also, right? I think we understood. We'll go for next discussion. It is necessity. So why it is necessity for the countries? For example, if we take our country India, so we know we are entirely depend more most of the manpower is dependent on agricultural, right? If you see the basic workforce is involved in agriculture, right? And all its resource depends on the agriculture output, right? Even the country, it also mainly depends on agriculture output. Water is evident the most vital element in the plant life, and we know if agriculture should be good, then we should supply water to the plant effectively. So then we can get a agriculture product very nicely, right? So water is normally supplied to the plant by nature through rain. However, the total rainfall in a particular area may be either insufficient or ill-timed. So it is very important. If water is insufficient or ill-timed, for example, even a crop will be in a what crop will be in a harvesting stage or rising stage, there we won't get a rain. So in that it required as insufficient, and when it is required it will not come, but when we not required then water will come. So that is what ill timed. In order to get maximum yield, it is essential to supply optimum quantity of water. So it is a essential required. So to supply optimum quantity of water means how much required for complete growth of crop, that much of water we have to supply. That will be we can achieve by artificial supply of water, right? Then maintain correct timing of water. This is possible only through systematic irrigation system. As I told, it only possible by systematic irrigation system, right? By collecting water during the period of excess rainfall. So we are collecting excess rainfall and releasing to the crop and when it needed, as when it needed. Thus, necessity of the irrigation can be summarized in the following points. So it is overall objective of necessity is, right? We have to supply artificial water to the rising crop, and we have to store excess rainfall, which is causing runoff. That runoff is stored, and when it is required, then we can supply with the canals, right? Irrigation system. And we will discuss what are the points which shows the necessity of the irrigation, or which factors which shows we require artificial supply of water. One by one we'll discuss. So first point is less rainfall, right? So less rainfall means what? when when the total rainfall is lesser than needed for the crop. So here it is, we require some a centimeter of rainfall for a particular crop, right? For example, 30 of rainfall, or 6 centimeter of rainfall, right? Like that we require minimum water for a complete growth of crop. Then when we are not getting how much we needed, we got a less, then we have to supply with artificially, right? The word is very important. When total rainfall is lesser than needed for the crop, artificial supply is necessary, right? When we artificial supply of water is necessary when rainfall lesser than needed for the crop. In such a cases, irrigation works may be constructed at a place where more water is available, and then conveyed water to the area where it is problem or deficiency of water, right? So then we can supply. It is mean when where we have more water, there will be storage, then stored water will be supplied where we have a problem of water, problem of water for irrigation, like by constructing canals and reservoirs. Next is non-uniform rainfall, right? We can see we have a very vast area, right? We have, it is like one of the subcontinent. In some of the places we will get more rainfall, and in some of the places we won't get rainfall properly. For example, if we take one of the forest areas in northeast country, northeast states, we will get more rainfall, and if we take Rajasthan, we will get a very lesser rainfall. So here also, due to the non-uniform rainfall throughout the area, to manage this non-uniformity, we require artificial supply of water to get a good crop, right? So that is what main intention of if it is non-uniformly distributed rainfall. Next point is growing number of crops during the year. So rainfall in an area may be sufficient to raise only one type of crop during the rainy season. So in the rainy season, only one type of crop we can make growing, right? If for example we have two main seasons, right? One is Kharif season and we have Rabi season, right? In a rainy season, it is called as a Kharif season. So in that it will be around for 3 to 4 months. During that we can grow only one type of crop, right? And when we are getting shortage of water in Rabi season, it is very difficult to make another crop. When we have a sufficient water to supply artificially, then we can go for number of other crops also, right? Like no, instead of keeping land vacant or empty, we can go for another crop or seasonal crop. Next is growing perennial crops. So here you can take example of sugar cane, right? So in such a cases, it required more water throughout the year. So that's what we can grow some of the perennial crop like sugar, right? Which required more than more time, like 1 year, 1.5 year. So even we can go for perennial crops if we have a stored water and when we can supply artificially. Next, commercial crops with the additional water. And here commercial means it is a cash crops. You can call it as a cash crop. For example, sugar cane, rice, opium, jute, cotton, tea. These are all called as commercial crops, right? Even cotton, jute, right, which are used for to prepare the bags, right? So these are the commercial crops, and these crops we can manage properly, right, with the additional water, right? Then controlled water supply, right? So here as I told, optimum water is required to make the complete growth of the crop. So optimum means you should not supply more water and you should not supply less water. That management of water supply, it will be possible proper distribution system. You require proper distribution system, and proper distribution system of water that we can achieve by by constructing the irrigation system, right? So from irrigation we can make controlled water supply to the crop, and we can get a good yield from the crop. Next we will discuss benefits of irrigation. Now we discussed about necessities, and those are the points are very important. Next we will discuss about benefits of irrigation, right? So one by one here we'll study, right? One is increase in the food production. Increase in the food production. When we have a good water availability and we seen necessity of irrigation, right? So here, due to the good availability of water, so due to the controlled and timely supply of water to the crop, yield is increased. With the assumed supply of water, superior crops takes the place of inferior crops. Thus, the value of crop is increased for given crop. The optimum quantity of water required may be determined experimentally and then applied scientifically to the crop. So, due to the by determining the optimum requirement of the water to the crop, how much water is required for complete growth, and due to scientific analysis, we can make a good growth, or you can tell it is like we can make good production. Like for example, if I take, if we are getting from 1 acre of land, we are getting around 2 to 3 bags of any seeds, and due to the proper management and experiment scientific analysis, we may get more than that, right? If we are getting more than that, we can call it as increase in the food production. Instead of 2 to 4 bags of seeds, you can get 10 bags of seeds. So then it is called increase. If you see the graph, and initially before without irrigation, you can get, these are the small growth. You can see small growth in the food production, right, with respect to increase in the time or increase in the year, correct? So next is protection from the famine, right? famine Famine means these are the famine means it is what one of the it is natural made problem, and it is mainly related to the drought condition. Protection from the famine, right? It is a construction of irrigation work helps during famine and drought period. So here feminem is non-availability of the food material. So for example, if you heard in India, we have a great tragedy about this kind of famine. It is a great famine of Bengal and great famine of Madras, where the people are struggle to get one meal per day. And even they will be without food more than months also, right? So you can see in the image how they are suffering with food, and you can see the condition how it was due to these kind of conditions, due to drought condition and non-grow in the food production, right? And due to the shortage of food, even animals were the loss of animal and the loss of people were taken place. If you see, if you study about this, you will get million people have lost their life due to non availability of food, right? And we can overcome these kind of conditions if we have a good irrigation system in our country. Next, cultivation of cash crops. As I told, if water is available, then we can go for cash crops like sugarcane, indigo, tobacco, cottons, right? Then elimination of mixed cropping. So in some places, due to the fear of non-availability of water for the next time, so required because of requirement of different seeds, will go for multiple seeding, right? And it is called as mixed cropping. Means in one land we are going for different cropping. So that can be reduced because we have a water for next season also. For example, stored water. We know that in the well, water is available for next time also, like next some time. So that's what we can go for one cropping, and it will gives the good effect in the food production. Next is addition to the wealth of the country. So here it is addition to the wealth of the country. For example, when we are growing good condition, when we have food availability, for example, you can call we have a revolution in agriculture, right? So agriculture, green revolution, you heard about green revolution. Green revolution means it is what improvement in the agricultural areas, and so due to the improvement in the agricultural areas, we will get a more production of farm product. And from that if you can see, due to that you can get farmers will get a good benefits, and farmers will pay water tax, and due to the bumper crops produced due to the irrigation facilities make country self-sufficient. So country will become self-sufficient, and it will reduces the imports from the other countries, and it will helps in the foreign exchange. So due to export, we can get a foreign exchange also, right? We are sending in terms we are getting in terms of dollars. So that exchange in dollars, it will helps the country to grow faster in GDP. Next is increase in the prosperity of the people, right? So due to the good financial condition in the family, they can go for good education to the children's, right? Good housing facilities, good sanitary facilities, good water facilities, drinking water facilities. So all basic needs of the people can be achieved by a good condition, economic condition, and good economic condition will be increased by good irrigation system. And from the good irrigation system, they can go for good cropping, and from selling of their farm product, they will be in a prosperous condition. Means their living standard and their requirements of education, health will be improved, right? That is called as increase in the prosperity of the people, right? So next point is one of benefit is generation of hydroelectric power. So we have a multi-purpose irrigation project. If you can take any construction of irrigation project, right, any dam or any reservoir, that will be multi-purpose project, right? It not only for irrigation, right? It is planned for hydroelectric power generation. You can see the any dam, there will be hydro power plant, and that will be used when we are releasing water to the canals. So anyhow, we have to release the water to canals, and before releasing water to the canals, it will be used for hydroelectric power generation. Then it will help us to self-sufficient in the power energy in energy sector, and even less consumption of fuel. Right, we have a fuel consumption that can be reduced by good hydroelectric power generation, and it will help us in the commercialization of the rural areas and set up in the industries in the rural areas. And due to industrializing the rural area, the youth will get a good job opportunities, and it will help in total development of the country. Next is domestic and industrial water supply. Domestic and industrial water supply. So due to the multi-purpose project of irrigation, right? So even from that we can see water supply. You can see any metropolitan cities or nearby cities, the water supply will be made from that reservoirs, right? For example, Bangalore, and for Bangalore, water will be supplied from some of the reservoirs, right? So that is what we can fulfill the domestic need of the water supply, and even industrial, right? So we can supply from the same project which is constructed for irrigation. Next is inland navigation. So we know navigation, right? It is an inland navigation, means other than the sea. So it means by the constructing of large canals, you can see in the image, constructing the large canals. So these canals also used for shipping, and from here a large canals can also use it for inland navigation, thus transportation of agriculture product to the mandis. So it will help us in the it helps to farmers to take their agriculture product to nearby mandis where they can get APMC market, right? And even it helps the it makes the reduction in the road transport also. Right? Next, we will discuss ill effect of the irrigation. Right. So we discussed about benefits of the irrigation. Now we can discuss about even it has a ill effect of the irrigation. And you may get a questions like explain advantages of irrigation, means you have to explain benefits of irrigation. And if they ask disadvantage of irrigation, then you have to explain ill effect of the irrigation, right? And you may get questions like explain benefits and ill effect of irrigation, then it is a direct question. If they ask advantage and disadvantage, same, and we'll see one by one. One, it is breeding of breeding place for mosquitoes, right? We know how breeding of mosquitoes will takes place, right? The breeding of mosquitoes, it takes place in water. You can see in the image, right? So that adult mosquito makes the egg, right? And it will be in water, right? And here after the egg condition, it will go for larva, and then it will go for next stage of growth, then it will become a mosquito. So due to, and this entire process will takes place in water. When we are supplying water for irrigation, then it improves the breeding of mosquitoes, and from that we can get some diseases that is called as malaria, right? It is a waterborne disease, and these can help, and it is mainly takes place in the canals and due to the water supply to the agricultural land. Next is water logging. So due to the water supply, artificial water supply, right? So it will affect the natural water table condition of the area, right? Before agriculture, water table condition of that area, it will be different, and due to the artificial water supply, it may cause rising of water table. Right, waterlogging means due to the rising of water table, and it makes the saturates the crop root zone completely. Yet it causes the saturation, means entire words will be filled with water. That causes waterlogging. You can see in the image, due to irrigation, the water table in that area changes, and due to this change, it may cause like a saturated condition, and here we cannot grow any type of crop because of like a continuous water in that land, right? So as I told, more water is more water for agriculture, more water for crop is also not good, and even less water is also not good. It requires optimum quantity of water, right? It causes the whole area becomes waterlogged. Next is damp climate. So due to the supply of water, the surrounding area will become colder. As I told, is already due to the artificial supply of water, it is what it's colder, but due to again and colder conditions will make more colder and damp, right? And this entire area will become colder, right? So next we'll discuss about important questions, and in December 2019 and January 20 and in June July 2060, right? In two times they ask the same question, that is define irrigation, what are the necessity of irrigation, in two times, and they ask the same question, right? It may differ with the marks, but they ask the same question, means repetitive question, right? It is mainly related to define irrigation first, and next we have to explain why irrigation is necessity. Next, June July 2019, define the term irrigation, briefly describe the factors which necessitate the irrigation. Same question but in different way they ask. Define irrigation, describe the factors, means point wise point you have to explain why irrigation is necessity. Next, in December 2018, January 2019, and in June July 2016, December 2015, Jan 2016. They ask this question, define irrigation, list and explain the benefits and ill effects of irrigation. So here also we have to define first irrigation, then we have to list first points, then we have to explain benefits and ill effects of irrigation. Next is in June July 2017, December 2016, and Jan 2017, right? Means in regular paper as well as in a non-regular paper they ask the same question, it is explain advantages and disadvantages of irrigation. As I told, advantages means benefits of irrigation, disadvantage means it is a ill effect of irrigations, you have to explain. Next, for this lecture I referred Dr. B.C. Punmia, Dr. Pandey Birji Bisilal, Ashok Kumar Jain, Arun Kumar Jain textbook. The textbook name is Irrigation and Water Power Engineering. Irrigation and Water Power Engineering, Lakshmi Publication, New Delhi. And even I referred parallelly Dr. N. Balasubramanya textbook, Hydrology and Irrigation Engineering. Right. So thank you all.